Hi guys, just off on another wild camp. Just walking down the track from Desert to Prestatyn. It's the old railway track. If you see in the back, there's an old crane over there. Yeah, so it's about 20 past 3 now, so it's going to take me about an hour to get to where I'm going. I'm going to be camping on a public footpath, believe it or not, just a little bit further up than Bishop's Wood, on the Melodin side of Prestatyn hillside. For anybody local, you'll know where it is. As far as I know, there's no laws against camping on a public footpath, because the public do have access, but it's not really a footpath. You'll see when I get there. It doesn't even look like a footpath. There's a guy coming on a bike now. Yeah, so we'll continue doing a bit of videoing, and I'll see you all soon. Okay, so that's the old goods shed that they're working on. Looks like they've got the roof off. It only had a new roof a few months ago. So yeah, the goods shed at Melodin, they're converting it into a cafe, and I believe there's going to be a bit of a bike shop there, so I might start using it myself, although I do most of my repairs myself on my bike. Still need the parts, so I might use them for parts, but yeah, work's coming along. I'm not sure when it's going to be ready for. There's not a lot in the local press about it. Anyway, so that's where we're heading. Up that hillside there. It doesn't look like there's, to your right, it doesn't look like there's anywhere to camp, but I know of a little spot up there. So that's Bishop's Wood down there. And the whole area, all that area is known as Prestatyn hillside, if you look on any maps. And it's actually where the fishing mine is. I've done a video on that previously. So yeah, there's an old levelling gauge there. It'd be nice if they actually did something with this bit here, you know, because the cafe's there. Surely you could just make that bit into a bit of a garden. Put you know, picnic tables there for people to stop and what have you. Right, let's get away from civilization. Alright guys, seems like it's always uphill. It gets a bit steeper yet. So I've just trudged up from the village down there. You can see the sea in the background, gaining some height now. I'm just at Melodin Quarry, disused quarry, used by rock climbers, used it myself in the past. I'll just get a T entrance, I'll get my breath back and we'll have a look round. I've got some handy little chairs, so I'll get perched on one of these. That's a fair old piece of stone, that is. Right, so here we are. Melodin old quarry. Now, because of the effect of the camera, if I point there, along there, it's an optical illusion, but there is a ledge running all the way over to about that point there. There's some anchor points along this here. I've abseiled down that and rock climbed up it a few times. All along this area as well, there's bolts in the wall. Not so many higher up because it's quite loose at the top. A few years ago, I can't remember the exact date, but there was a group of kids up here. I think there was about 14, 15, 16 year olds, somewhere around that age group, and they was up on the ledge there, and one fell off. One lad fell off and died. which is always tragic to hear. But there was literally, they must have just been messing about, not realised where the edge was, and bang, that's it, you're gone. From there to about there, it's probably, I don't know, 20 or 30 foot, something like that. But yeah, I never rock climbed in this quarry after that incident. Don't know why. Well, mind you, I've not got any of the rock climbing equipment now. I've sold it all off, but yeah, it's always tragic. There's usually some flowers laid on there somewhere, but there doesn't appear to be any today. So yeah, so that's Millerden Quarry. Now we've got to follow the path down there through the bit of a woodland around the back, and then we're going to be walking along the top there. We get some nice views from up there, following the path right over onto the hillside. So I'm just going to get some water. This is quite handy. I got it off Amazon or something. Usually the bottle does come out easier than that. Have a flip lid. I think I've shown this before. One of these style of bottles. It's got a straw inside, so basically you don't have to tilt your head back when you're having a drink. Right, so let's get cracking, because what time is it now? It's now 4 o'clock, so I've been at it already half an hour. So I reckon another half an hour to where I'm camping. Get the tent set up. It's not too windy. I don't know if the camera's picking up the breeze. Try and keep you out of the wind as much as possible. Right, let's get cracking. It's not going to be long before it gets dark. I wanted to talk a bit about ham radio with you, so let's get it moving. I'll tell you one thing I have noticed with the amount of walking I do. They never make stiles big enough to get your rucksack through. I mean, this kissing gate is not too bad because there's plenty of room at the back there. But some of them are just ridiculous sizes. You know, how do they expect hikers to get all the gear over and through? It baffles me. I think there should be a standard national size for stiles and access gates. Right, where's the footpath? Oh, I've got to go a bit further up yet. So we're just following the footpath up, and then we'll go all along there and hopefully get up to the top. It's actually not that muddy. It's not as muddy as I thought it'd be, but still got a way to go yet. Right, we're on top of the quarry edge now. Nice little view over there. Yeah, I've actually climbed that corner there. I've climbed up there before now, but yeah, you'd have a severe allergic reaction when you hit the floor down there if you lost your footing. So always make sure you're safe, folks, when you go to quarries. You can be very dangerous places, goes without saying. I've climbed before now, similar faces to this here. Put my hand on a piece of rock and it's just come away in my hand. So yeah, very loose, some quarries. Usually what they do, if the council know that there's going to be a lot of rock climbers using it, the quarry, they haven't done it with this one, but I do know of others where they actually jet wash the face of the quarry with high pressure water to blow out all the loose bits, and then either rock climbers or, you know, climbing groups usually bolt it up. I've never bothered putting any bolts in because I've just used bolts that are already there. By the way, a bolt is not a nut and bolt. I think I've showed it on a video before, but they're like steel pins that go in. There's a couple of different types you can get. Just have to be careful. It's a bit muddy, slippery. There's a couple of different rock climbing bolts you can get. Here's me opening a big gob saying it's not going to be muddy. The state of this. Yeah, so you can get drill a hole and then put your bolt in, and it works like a raw bolt where as you tighten the bolt up, it's got an eye on it, usually made out of stainless steel, and as you tighten the bolt head up, it expands the sleeve in the rock face and makes an anchor. Or you can get ones that are like pins, so you drill the hole, you put the pin in, and then you fill it with resin. Sometimes resin, sometimes concrete, depends on the quality of the rock that you're putting it into, really. And then that is another type of anchor, but basically they're just loops, steel loops, so you can click your gear into it if you're belaying or abseiling, things like that. Just helps you out a bit of safety. Someone's had a fire there. Right guys, I'm going to shut up because I'm having a job to bloody get up this bloody bit, and it's not that steep, it's just really slippy. Okay, so looks ideal here. A bit of a slope to it, bit of a slope, but if I get the main part of the tent on where it's level, should be alright. Oh, a cracking view as well, folks. I'll spin the camera around and show you. Nice view of Prestatyn over there, and Llandudno in the distance, well, Little Orme in the distance over there, and that's the mountain I've just come over, that one over there. So yeah, it's getting dusk now, so definitely need to get cracking with this, backing the tent up. By the way, this it's the Van Gogh Banshee, by the way, the 200, and I've actually put the inner, attached the inner to the outer, so it should go up in no time at all, really. But yeah, and then I'm going to get a brew on. So what I always do is put the poles in first and then peg it all out. Right, what I usually do is just dump everything inside the tent that I don't need. Like bag for it, pole bag, tent pegs bag. Oh, that can go over there. I need some water out. Might as well take this this bag off me. It's a nice, good bag this. Usually use it for my camera or my radio gear, depending. Today it's for my camera. And I've got power charger in here and some spare batteries. I need to keep it handy because my head torch is in there. And then in the front we've got spare battery for the radio, which broke. The clip broke on it yesterday. The radio fell off me. I think it fell off my belt or something. And it still works, the battery, but you can't obviously hold the radio. You can't have it like hanging because the battery will just fall off. So I brought that along anyway. Spare 3 little AAA batteries for the head torch, which is the Petzeltika that I usually use. And then there's 54 water purification tablets. Although there's not a water source around here, I'd have to go down the hill and walk along Bishop's Wood to the fish mine, and there's water out of there, but it would need purifying. I've got purification tablets. I've also got my the water filtration system, which is the Soya Mini, but I've got 54 tablets there, 3 litres a day. That's 18 days I could survive on these tablets. Obviously you can boil water as well to purify it. Don't know if any of you realise, but the bacteria in water is actually killed before boiling point. But people say heat your water till it's boiling, because the boiling gives you a visible sign that the bacteria is killed. but most bacteria are killed at after 75 degrees, 73 degrees, something like that. Most bacteria is dead, so your water might not actually be boiling at, well, it's not boiling at 75 or 73 degrees, so they say a rolling boil for 3 minutes and then you're guaranteed, you're bomb proof then. Right, let's get all this stuff chucked in here. Find out what I need. We'll need a few things first. That's radio gear, we'll go into that in a little bit. In this little box I've got my Oxos, chicken and beef flavoured, so I need them. Today we're going to be having the chili con carne fire pot meal. Hope I've brought a big enough pot to boil the water. I've only brought my small pot with me. There's my pots, titanium. These went missing for ages. I had a big sort out in where I store all my stuff yesterday, and I found them again, so I'll be starting to use these again. Big one is small one inside the big one. Nice little pots. Usually use one for boiling water and the other one for a cup. So I'll leave them out. The other thing we're going to need is in here. Let's get rid of my jacket. So we're going to need, obviously, primer stove. So in there I've got my water filtration system, the bag, the squeeze bag, the straw and the little pump thing to flush it out, and inside that little bag I've got a rubble sack just to take rubbish home. That's all that's in the top half of my bag. In the very top, in the mesh part, I don't know if you're going to be able to see that, but in there is just the rain cover for the bag should I need it. But I don't tend to bring too much when I'm camping with a tent. I just bring the bare essentials really. Right, we're going to need them books for later. We've got gas. This is summer gas, so I've insulated it with this is an old roll mat, sleeping roll mat. Just helps it perform a little bit better. I'm hoping there's enough gas in there for tonight, because it's nearly empty and I just want to get rid of the bottle really, because I've been using the Primus gases. Right, this big bomb here, that's the Andy's sleeping bag. It does say it's a winter one, but I don't think it is. What else have I got in here? Oh, and a book. And that is it. The bag is empty. On the outside, obviously I've got my first aid kit just there. What else do we need off here? Might as well take that water out of there as well. Right. Okay, so all the stuff I'm going to need. I've got a roll mat, sleeping bag, and the stuff I don't need I'm just going to whack in the other side of the tent, get it out of the way. So open that door up, there's the vestibule area. Just chuck that to the other side, because I don't need that. Slip it back up. Inside here in the middle I've just got a little hook. That's the camera off the tripod. Yeah, I've got a little hook up there that I hang my headlight on. There's inside the tent. I love this tent, it is a really good tent. This bit here is unzips and you can put your dirty boots the other side. I think that's what it's designed for, but I'm keeping my dirty boots on for the time being. Right, let's get this brew on. Right, okay, so we need the gas, and we need the actual cooker. This is the Primus Express Spider. It's the only one that I use gas powered now. I don't use any others, this is my only one. I've done reviews on this before, for anybody interested. It can be a bit of a pain getting the gas on sometimes. There we go. As easy as 1, 2, 3. Not cheating, using a lighter. Whack the cup on there. Whack some water in it. Now, I am going to actually eat while it's still light, so... thought that was going to flare up then for some reason. So I'm going to put quite a lot of water in there and then probably reboil to make a brew with. I'll tell you what I did forget out of my bag, my bloody knife, fork and spoon. Right, so let's get that up to a boil. Well, it doesn't really need to be boiling because this is tap water. I'm not going to, it is quite a tight fit, the lid, so I'm just going to place it on, let some steam evaporate, come out the sides when it's boiled, because otherwise it'll just be a pressure cooker and explode. I'll pop the lid off at least anyway. So right, let's go and find the knife, fork and spoon. Okay guys, I'll just show me what I bring. Basically a pot handle, because I do have a set of pots which are quite big ones, so I keep the pot handle in there. This is a little Army tin opener. Basically put the lip there on the side of your tin and just nibble away at the tin till it opens. You get two of these. You can get two of these from Amazon for about less than £2. I think they're £1.98 for two of them. They are quite flimsy, but they do work. Next of all, I've got titanium spork, and then I've got my titanium knife, fork and spoon with a little carabiner on. So that's what I use for eating, folks. Just keeps it all together. I don't even know what this bag's off. I think originally a hammock came in it. Pretty sure. Can't remember. So anyway, I just keep it in a bag like that, and then I know where everything is. And inside my rucksack, when you open it up, inside there's like a little mesh bag, and they just fit nicely in there. So that's where they live all the time. Shouldn't take too long for this to boil up. Okay, so this is what's on the menu tonight. Chili con carne and rice by Firepot, the outdoor food, by outdoorfood.com. Get these on Amazon. Remove the pouch, don't eat the pouch. Every single one has one of them oxygen eater pouches. Basically, there's two ways you can do it, on using a pan method or using the pouch method. I usually use the pouch method. I don't like getting my pots and pans dirty, to be honest with you. So basically, tear it open, get the oxygen eater pouch out of it, and then it'll tell you to fill to level 10, and then up the side you get your levels. Sorry about the ambulance or whatever it is down there. That's the second one that's gone past today. Soon tell you, because it'll come past me in a minute. Anyway, so you get the gradients up there. So number 10 is that one there, so just under that line. So what I usually do is let all the air out first. Let all the air out, find the number 10, and then just do that with it, so that when I open the pouch up, I've got a fill line inside. That's what it looks like anyway. So I know where I'm filling up to now. So let's check this water, see how the water's doing. Getting warm, so I'm going to have a quick fag. I forgot to have a look what that was that's just gone past. The other one before was an ambulance, so something's going on somewhere. Right, I am pretty hungry, so I think I'm going to have a fag, and then hopefully that would have boiled by then. Okay, there we go, folks, rolling boil. About 3-4 minutes. Really good, these. Works better with the Primus gas, but they're really good, these stoves. Don't take long at all. Like I say, you can get different winter gases. The red bottle and you get a green bottle, a red bottle and a brown bottle. The green bottle is a summertime gas, for Primus. The red bottle that I've used on previous videos is a winter gas, and the brown bottle is an extreme winter gas. It can be used in -22 or something. It's got special filters in it and what have you, but they are quite pricey. They're about 18 quid, the Primus winter gases. I think they're 18 quid, something like that anyway, 15 to 18 quid. I think I paid 18 quid for the last one. Right, so basically let's stop messing about. There's my line where my finger is. I'm going to leave that running because I might need some more water. That's perfect. Seal it up. Usually try and get all the air out of it. There we go, that's better. Seal it up and just let that sit for 15 minutes and that'll be ready. I usually leave it about 20 minutes. So I've seen some people, just while I'm waffling, I'll fill this up with water and get it on for a brew. Not that much will do. Yeah, I've seen people make a pouch out of this stuff, out of this foam, whatever foam it's called, I can't remember, but sleeping mats made out of it. Yeah, I've seen people make pouches out of this stuff that go around. They can sit this in because you do lose a lot of heat out of the pouch, obviously. That there. Yeah, so I might try that one day. It's supposed to speed the process up and help it a little bit, but I've never had any problem doing it this way. So I've just got my brew on now. It's good to be outdoors again, to be honest with you. Like I say, I went out with Max, but I couldn't record anything. I got little bits and pieces, but nothing that I could make a video out of really. And the tent is full of dog hairs. I've just been sweeping out a little bit. Max is just, he's not out with me today. He's went to the vets yesterday. He's had his family jewels off, so he's a little bit sore. He's wearing one of them stupid lampshades, destroying the house. He's already wrecked one. Mrs. had to go and get another one today from the vets because he destroyed the first one. The second one seems a little bit more sturdier, but I think that's why they do it, to make you buy a new one. You know, they give you the first one free, which is made out of crap plastic basically, and then they make you buy a bloody £8 one that's better. So, but I mean, he's a Springer Spaniel. I think all dogs try and get them off their heads, but some dogs are more powerful than others, and Max doesn't care. He's got no brains, so he'll smash it against the table. He's not bothered. A table leg or a chair or something. He's not bothered at all. That's the second person that's passed me now. Walking his dog. So yeah, it's going a bit dusk now, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to actually do any ham radio before I've eaten, but we'll have a go anyway. I'm at a good location here. Should be able to get into Denby Repeater, and I should be able to get into Liverpool, which is all the way over there yonder, across the sea. But we'll see. See you in a bit, folks. Well, that's taken even less time to boil, so not going to waste any gas in case I want to brew in the morning. So where's my little thing gone? Here it is. My little special case for me brewing up tattle. Can't even get into it. I think we'll go with chicken. Usually I use 2 cubes. I've got enough for two more brews there. We'll go for chicken this time. I wish they'd make them a bit easier to get into, these bloody tin foil jobbies. That's quite hard, that one. Must have been in there a while. Yeah, it's pretty hard, that. bollocks to it, just dump it in. This one will probably be the same. Yeah, they're pretty hard. They must have been in the cupboard quite a while. Well, at least over winter. Can't actually remember when I bought these, but that one's coming in a little bit better. Just have to let them dissolve in the water. Nothing else I can do. The only thing I've not brought this time is my hygiene pack. There we go. I'll just give that a stir. Yeah, they'll soon dissolve. Keep the lid on, keep the warmth in. Just give me pouch a stir. Just remember, guys, always stir these pouches with the spoon end of your thing. You don't want to puncture the bag. That's looking nice, that is. Right, be ready soon. Not bad at all. Street lights are just coming on in the distance over there. There's a few little down there. The camera's probably not picking it up as well as I can see it. It's still not too bad. It's not cold. Hands are a bit cold, but they'll soon be warm when I'm eating my meal. Well, my brews, my chicken stock cubes are about done. Very hot. We'll leave the lid off that for a while, let it cool down. Yeah, nice. Right, okay guys, before we lose too much light, I'm just going to go through primarily what I wanted to do this video about. On all my videos, all the pictures you see on YouTube when I'm out and about, I always have my amateur radio, my ham radio transceiver with me. If there's a few reasons for that. One is because you can obviously listen to normal radio, commercial radios, radio 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. You get all them on in the transceiver. It's all built in, just like, you know, the old think of the old car radio with the dial, or even nowadays you find the frequency that they broadcast on and you can listen in. You cannot transmit on them signals, on them frequencies, by the way. Right, so if you're interested, the other reason, sorry, is because obviously it has advantages over other communications where mobile networks fail, blah blah blah. I'll give you some examples when ham radio has been used to good effect in a bit. So if you're interested in ham radio, learning about amateur radio, first of all, what is amateur radio? Well, basically you are licensed by Ofcom, the same people who deal with your television license. Although that's a separate sector, that's TV licensing, but it all comes under the Ofcom envelope, because basically on top of your house, I mean, most people have got a Sky now, but a Freeview set, for example, is actually using a 70 centimetre wavelength Yagi aerial. That's what a television aerial is. So yeah, it's a transceiver radio, so it's a receiver and a transmitter. Now you do need a license before you can even own one, although most people like myself buy them before they're licensed, and I did mine in such a way that I could listen, I programmed it in such a way that I could listen to the frequencies, the nearby repeaters, but I could not transmit. Apart from the fact is there's certain criteria you have to meet when you are making a call out for either to another person on simplex, which is radio to radio, or using a repeater, which gives you greater distance. For example, there's two here, there's two on Llandudno, just over there. There's two repeaters there. There's one in Liverpool, like I've said, over in that direction, and somewhere behind me is Denby repeater. I should be able to get into all them from my location here, which I'll try in a little bit. So, how do you get your license and how much is it going to cost you? Right, well, the radio, for starters, very cheap. These Bofang UV5Rs, they're very cheap, £20 to £25. That's with the battery, the charger, the aerial, everything you need to get going. Now, I'm just going to quickly show you in my bag what accessories I have. This is, for, you could use it shits the fan, or if you're just struggling. First of all, you get the charger. Obviously, I can't plug that into the mains. And then I've got the handheld mic, and tangled up in the handheld mic is, I'll sort it out after, an earpiece, basically. Same type that security use, has a little button. Speaker goes on your jacket or your zip or whatever, close to your mouth, and then you have a separate button to make a call. This is a battery pack. Now, I'm not going to open it up, but basically it does open up, and you can put AA batteries in here. It takes 6 AA batteries, so it's just the same as the one that comes. These are lithium ion batteries that it comes with, but you can get one of these. They're a few quid. I don't think they're very dear at all, and you can put AA batteries in. It will eat AA batteries, especially if you're transmitting. Not too bad if you're just receiving only, but when you're transmitting, you're using a lot of power. In the radio's terms, you're using a lot of power, so it'll obviously use more battery power. This little thing is a car adapter with the right attachment for your charger, so you can be charged through a cigarette lighter on a car. Failing that you haven't got, let's say, shit's the fan and you found a car that's abandoned, you can plug it into the cigarette lighter if you wish, if you can gain access. If you can gain access to the under the bonnet where the battery is, 2 crocodile clips with a cigarette lighter on it, pops into there. You can charge your radio up. In here I have a little USB cigarette thing. Good thing about this one is it tells you the ampage and the voltage. It's got a little LED screen on it, so you plug it into the cigarette lighter, or if you want to find if there's any power in your battery, put your terminals onto your battery, and then you can see if there's any power in the battery. That's my phone going. In here I've actually got another piece of equipment that I've not bought with me, which is a battery eliminator, which basically is one of them onto a dummy one of them. You slide it into your radio, plug it into the car, and you can make a call straight away. It's just in case. One thing I've found out with the battery eliminators is they do tend to overheat if you're using the radio a lot. In here is 2 waterproof, I think from Combat UK military waterproof notepads. One of them is full of pretty much all the repeaters in the UK, including Ireland and Wales and Scotland. So I've got a list in there of all the repeaters. That one's blank, and also got a pen, a Sharpie, and there's a few batteries in the bottom, a few AAA batteries, which I didn't realise was in there. Well, that's handy to know. Right, so let's get all that away. So basically, with all that equipment, I can stand alone. I'm a standalone operator. Even if I haven't got power to the radio, there is some way I can get power to it. I'm trying to rush through things because obviously we're losing light a bit now. So, right, how much is it going to cost? Your radio, like I say, is £20 to £25. Then you need to join a amateur radio club. That's the only way you can take an exam for amateur radio. foundation, intermediate and a full license, all three, you will need to be a member of a radio club. Now radio clubs do sometimes charge a yearly fee. I was quite lucky with my radio club, which allowed me to take the two tests that I needed to do. I'm an intermediate ham radio operator. The first one is foundation, second one is intermediate, and the third one is full. I've never bothered with a full one, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Yeah, so you need to be a member of a radio club. That's the only way you can take the exam. There's an exam so that you can pass, so that you can get your license. It's a multiple choice exam based on what's in these books. Now, the first one, you don't need to. The terms have changed for the license. You don't even need the Morse code now. You don't have to take a Morse code test. You don't need to learn that. You can do it if you want to. If you want to get into radio, it's always handy to know Morse code. But the exam nowadays, you don't need it. So you're gonna, with the foundation book, you need to buy this. So that's like a tenner probably off Amazon. You can buy them from radio shops as well. You can actually send off for the Royal Society of Great Britain, Radio Society of Great Britain. Sorry, you can buy them from there as well on their website. That's who you'll do your exam with. So you start off with the foundation. I'm not going to go into a lot of details what's in these books, but this is a general overview to get you going. Some circuit diagrams. You learn about propagation, which is the way that radio waves travel through the air, and there's a mock exam at the back. Some of the questions that you're likely to get. How to wire a plug. It's got a few. It's got the phonic alphabet. Don't really need to learn that either. I don't know what that bit is there. Oh, readability. Readability's a little chart there. But you will learn all that. You'll also learn in this one how an aerial works, how to build an aerial. Now at foundation level, you're only allowed to use 10 watts of power. The maximum this will go up to is 5 watts. 10 watts of power, you're allowed a certain frequency range to use on each of the bands. Now without going back looking at my license conditions, I haven't got a clue what they are anymore. Because obviously I'm an intermediate, so it allows me to use a wider range of frequencies over all the bands. You can use microwaves and things like that. But I don't want to go into, bore you with science. Basically, this is just a general thing for people that are wanting to get into radio. So it's your foundation license. That'll cost you a tenner. The actual license to take the exam, I think it's about £28 per license. So you need to do your foundation. That's 28 quid. If you want to stop at foundation, you don't have to move on to any other licenses. You can be quite content with just the foundation license. It needs to be renewed every 5 years. Now, once you've paid for the license, that's it for life. But you need to let Ofcom know every 5 years that you're still using your radio, or you still own a radio. The reason for that is so that they keep the records up to date, and obviously if you're interfering with anybody else in your neighbourhood, then Ofcom have got the power to come in your house to inspect your radio equipment. They've got more powers than the police as where that's concerned. Now, you could say, right, well, I'll just buy a radio, I'll buy the book, I'll learn all about it, and then, I'll have a muck about with it. Now, part of your licence is, the criteria is, it is illegal to speak to another person when you're licensed that hasn't got a call sign. So if you've not got a call sign and you try and make one up, let's say, you'll be quickly found out by the person on the other end, because they'll know exactly what your call sign tells the other person, exactly what license you've got, and they'll know, if they're licensed themselves, they'll know exactly the terminologies that we use. If you don't know what a QSL is, if someone says what's your QSL, then you're going to be found out. It's not worth bothering going down that road. Yeah, so you can quite happily do your foundation now. You might think, well, okay then, 10 watts is not allowed, or not a lot of power to play with. But with this, I've picked up Tim Peake on the International Space Station. I've not transmitted to him, but I've picked him up, not using this aerial. I built an aerial specifically for it, for when he was doing, he was talking to a school over amateur radio somewhere down south, and the students was allowed to ask questions. It was all organised. When events like that do happen from the International Space Station, all ham radios do remain silent and try not to speak to the International Space Station. But that is one thing you can do on Foundation license. You'll know how to build the aerial for it, blah blah blah. You could use walkie-talkies. I suppose if there's a group of you, or family camping, then you could use 2 normal walkie-talkies, which you don't need a license for. Now, as far as power is concerned, like I said, I've spoke to people in Mexico on less than a watt. I've spoken to people in Australia via an Echo Link. I'm not going to blind you with science again, but basically an Echo Link is a repeater which has got internet capability. So you're hitting the repeater with your analog signal, and then the repeater will convert that into a digital signal, send it down the phone wire to Australia, or wherever the person is, America, whatever. That's quite fun. But our Echo Link, which was based in Colwyn Bay, that's now, it's gone. They don't run it anymore. The lad that had it, the license for it, is not bothered renewing it, basically. So yeah, you can speak to people all over the world, basically, with ham radio. So the second license is your intermediate one, another 28 quid, another 10 15 quid for the book. Goes into a lot more detail. As you can see, I've done a lot of studying in this book. You will have to take a practical exam with this one. With this one, there's no practical. With your first Foundation license, there's no practical exam. It's basically read this book, memorise this book, and it's not all that thick. It's common sense, a lot of it. And then the questions will be asked based on what's in that book. Same as with both of these books, the full license and the intermediate. Hello? Why? Oh, right guys, sorry about that. That was the missus ringing me to let me know that Max has smashed the other lampshade off his head now. So I'll have to gaffer tape that up when I get back tomorrow. Right, so where was I? Talking about these books. So yeah, your Foundation license, you will learn how to make aerials. You will learn about how to do everything, really. You know, Foundation license, you're not allowed to build a transceiver. You can build a receiver, like a crystal diode set, but you're not allowed to build a transceiver. On intermediate license, you're allowed to build transceivers, and on full license, you're allowed to build transceivers. Intermediate license holders can use up to 50 watts of power, and full license people, operators, can use I think it's up to 400 watts of power. Yeah, so your intermediate is up to 10 watts. Like I said, I've spoken to all over the world on less than a watt. It's something called QRP, which means you're portable and you're using low power outputs. You can, these, like I say, the both fangers go up to 5 watts. They do make, I believe they've just brought out a 10 watt one. These are analog transceivers. We do have digital ones now. I haven't got one myself. I've never used one. I'd have to learn about how to use one of them. But we do have digital ones, and they say it's like talking to a person in the same room. I've just put all my gear on because it's going a bit cold, folks. Right, so they're basically the books that you'll need to buy for your respective licenses. So your license is going to cost you about 28 quid, your book's going to cost you a tenner, and your radio is going to cost you 25 quid. So for about 80 quid, that's you up and running. And then if you want to go onto further licenses, you can do. You can do that if you want. Like I say, The advantage over using ham radio as opposed to a walkie-talkie is you can actually use repeaters. So a walkie-talkie might get you, I mean, they put 25 kilometres or 20 kilometres on most packets that I've seen. It's a theoretical range that, don't go on it. I've had Cobra walkie-talkies, and what I did, a little experiment, is I left one at home on the kitchen side with a dictaphone next to it, and I cycled down the track that I've just walked down to get here, and I got to not even to the goods shed at Melodon, and I was keying up, you know, basically, can you hear me now, can you hear me now, can you hear me now, give me location. And when I got back home and played the dictaphone back, you know, I couldn't even get 2 miles range out of it. So just bear that in mind, folks, when you do buy these walkie-talkies. It's a theoretical distance that they give you on the packet. Like I say, Llandudno, as the bird flies, is probably about 15 miles away from here, and I can hit that repeater no problem, and I'll demonstrate that in a second. Liverpool is over the other side of the water, but probably as the crow flies from my location here, probably about 20 to 25 miles. I should be able to get that. And Denby is, excuse me again. Hello. The what? Right, okay, let's try again. That was the missus again about the dog. So, my food's going cold as well now. Yeah, so, what was I saying? So for about 80 quid, you're going to be up and running. Like I say, it's up to you whether you do the other 2 licenses. I stopped at intermediate. The difference between the intermediate and the full, the only difference is that on the intermediate you're allowed up to 50 watts. The full license is 400 watts. I thought if I can talk around the world on less than a watt, I'm quite happy with that. I've not done it on this one. This is what you call a dual band radio. It's 70 centimetres and 2 metres. Obviously you're not going to know what that means, but there's 2 different wavelengths of 70. There's quite a few different actual bands, we call them. 70 centimetre being one band, 2 metres being another band. Then you've got, you know, 20 metres, 15 metres, 18 metres, 16, 8 metres is a really good band, because in certain times of the year the band opens up and becomes like one of the bands higher up. It's a bit difficult to explain, but at certain times of the year, in certain conditions, the band opens up to act like another band that you say you use to speak to France on, or Spain. There's a particular bandwidth you would use to get that far, and the 8 metre band does open up at certain times of the year. Other times of the year, it's what you call a closed band, like 70 centimetres and 2 metres. They're closed bands. They're designed for local stuff or for local repeaters. And then obviously as you start going up the bands, you can get further and further and further afield. But like you say, using the Echo Link, if you've got one in your area, then you're laughing really. We do have, like I say, we do have digital radios now. I might get one in the future, I don't know. At the moment I don't need one. At the moment I actually need to buy a new one of these because the mounting for the aerial's not quite as good as it was when it was new. It tends to unscrew the aerial sometimes on its own. Must be a spring or something inside. I could probably get into it and repair it myself, but for 25 quid can I really be arsed going through all that? I'll open it up one day and have a look, and then if not, it's only 25 quid in it. Yeah, so I use mine all the time, my radio. Wherever I am, if I'm out and about, the radio's not far behind me. Even when I'm going to work, I take my radio to work. Half the time I'll just listen to Radio 4 on it, to be honest with you, as I'm going to work. People have car radios. I use a bike to get to work, so I've got a bike radio. Yeah, so it's well worth investing in yourself. Right, some events where amateur radio's been used to good effect in the past in disaster situations. You have to excuse me because I've got a few notes here. So we've done that one. Done that. Yes, apart from Australia, some of the places I've had contacts with, ISS, Mexico, Spain, Russia, Yugoslavia, the Ukraine, basically all over the world I've had contacts, all on less than 10 watts. Right, emergency situations where ham radio has come into its own. I think the most recent one is September the 11th 2001, the tower attacks. Obviously the mobile systems went down, ham radios came to help. In the UK we have something called Raynet. Now there's not one near me, and I was going to start one years ago. Well, when I say years ago, 2 years ago, when I first passed my test, I was going to set up the Raynet for this area. Now what Raynet is it's a localised group of amateur radio, licensed amateur radio people, operators, and in times of disaster or local catastrophe, local disaster, flooding, things like that, when the mobile communications go down, we can, an amateur radio can also do this on foundation licence. You can act on behalf of a first responder, which means basically if a policeman stops you, tells you the frequency and asks you to transmit on that frequency, you're legally allowed to do it. Although the police nowadays use something called, what's it called now? I can't remember what the radio system is, but it's encrypted nowadays. They don't use analog anymore. It's an encrypted system. I think it's Terra something, can't remember. Yeah, so first responder is St John's Ambulance, fire, police, ambulance, Coast Guard, anybody like that. First responder. You can transmit on their behalf. Part of your licence condition is as well, if, let's say for example, a first responder asks to use your radio, you're legally obliged to let them use it. If they don't know how to use your radio, obviously you show them how to program a frequency in. You won't learn about particular radios when you do a foundation, when you do your actual radio license, foundation license, your intermediate and your full. They do not tell you how to actually specifically use a specific model of radio. They don't tell you how to use a UV5R. They won't tell you how to program it. However, in a group there's people that know how to do it, like myself as well. I know how to program the UV5R. But that's something you're going to have to learn on your own. But once you're licensed, then you're allowed, the world's your oyster. I've made mistakes before now. Not everybody's perfect. So don't worry about it. It's no big deal, really. So anyway, September 11 attacks. Ham radio was used then. The North American blackout with Hurricane Katrina, ham radio came to the forefront. 2017, the Red Cross requested 50 ham radios be dispatched to Puerto Rico in the wake of Hurricane Maria. In 2004, Hurricane Francis in the Bahamas. A bit closer to home, is what originally set up the Raynet system. If you just wiki Raynet, it'll tell you all about it. It was the East Coast flood in 1953. It was one of Britain's worst storms, and 307 lives were lost at that time. And that's when it was decided that the UK needed a communications network that could take over. In 1953 we didn't have mobile phones for starters, so all the landline phones must have been out. Also, Lockerbie, the Lockerbie disaster in Scotland. I can't remember what year that was, but ham radio operators were used then as well. And not a lot of people know this, but a guy called Bob McLeod informed London in 1982 that the Falklands War had started because he seen the troops coming up the beach, and he was a ham radio operator, and he was able to inform London that the Falklands War had started. 1988, the Lockerbie crash. Pan Am Flight 103, I'm sure some of you will remember that. But that's some of the occasions where ham radio has been used. And like I say, mine's always with me, just in case. The last page is all about Q codes. You don't really want to know about all that, because you'll learn that if you're doing your licence. So yeah, shit is the fan. You know, you're a standalone operator. As long as you've got power source, you could probably, knock up an aerial. Even I can make an aerial. I mean, there's not just wire straight ones like this. There's all different types of aerials, and you'll have the knowledge to do that at foundation level, how to build an aerial, how to test it. Also at foundation licence, one of the things you will have to learn is if you're interfering with your neighbour's TV, how to stop that interference. But you'll learn all about that, fitting filters and things like that, asking your neighbour to fit filters, and everything's good. Basically, keep the peace. Most TVs, I've not found any TVs really that I interfere with, not to my knowledge anyway. Your licence address must be where you live, so if you say own your own house, that's fine, that your licence is going to go there. But let's say if you use a care of address or a postal address, that's where your radio must be stored. And again, it's so that Ofcom, if someone complains in a neighbourhood that someone's interfering with, every time they turn Channel 5 on and you're operating your radio in your attic or in your bedroom or whatever, and they can hear your voice coming over their TV, obviously you're interfering with it. And Ofcom, if Ofcom get involved, they'll ask you to maybe keep a logbook. It's good practice to keep a logbook anyway. I mean, I don't, but it's good practice too, especially if you've got a home static unit rather than being mobile like I am all the time. So there's so much about the hobby of amateur radio that I could talk about it for hours and hours and hours, and it'll probably bore you to tears, blind you with science and all that. So yeah, I keep mine with me. I've said that a million times now, haven't I? So yeah, so it's always good. For about 80 quid, you're all in with your radio, your book, and your licence. There's a fair amount of study that goes into getting a licence, your foundation. Every single licence is a fair amount of study. Into the full licence, that thickness of that book, that'd probably take me a year to learn all that book. But your foundation licence, I mean, I learnt that book. I joined the club, and two months later, was it about 2 months? Yeah, about 2 months later, I was taking my test. And then it was a month after that, and I took the intermediate test. Well, the foundation stuff was fresh in my mind. You don't have to get 100% pass rate. It's a bit like a driving licence. You have a certain pass rate. You're allowed to get like 4 or 5 or 6 questions wrong. I can't remember what it is now. But yeah, you don't need 100% pass. So that's pretty much all I've got to talk about ham radio, amateur radio, call it what you want. The reason why it's called ham radio is kind of the name stuck really about ham. If you think of a theatre, ham actors, semi-professional actors, amateur actors, but there's nothing amateur really about amateur radio. There's some people out there know a lot about radios and radio frequencies. So there you go, folks. Hope I've bored you to tears enough about that. I'm going to have my tea now, which is probably cold. Nothing I can do about that now. I just wanted to kind of get this radio bit out of the way well, I still have a bit of light, but obviously now I'm using a torch so you can see me. Right, I'm going to crack on with my dinner, folks. By the way, any questions about amateur radio, radios in general, whatever, leave in the comments below. I do try and reply back to everybody that comments. So any questions, let me know. If you want me to do a more in-depth video about amateur radio, then also let me know in the comments below. I don't mind talking about radio, but it's a side hobby, if you like, for me. I've had big, expensive radios, transceivers before. The Acer 817 was one of them. That was about 300 quid, just over 300 quid I think. I had to save up for that. Yeah, so that's about it, folks. Okay, now I've stopped waffling about amateur radio. This is probably cold, but don't matter as long as it's cooked. Let's try it. It's got to be done, folks. Oh, feels quite warm still. Well, it tastes like chilli. That's all I can say. They're not bad, these fire pot meals. They're not brilliant because it's rehydrated stuff, but they're alright. They give you energy. That's what it's all about. 600 calories in this one. So you can always add salt and pepper, a few mixed herbs, spices, that kind of thing yourself if you wanted to. But yeah, they're not bad. I like them because there's no mess. You haven't got to clear away pots, you know, clean dirty pots and pans and stuff. That's why I like them, because you just roll them up. Put all your rubbish in, roll it up, reseal it, that's it. Stick it in your rucksack, take it home, throw it in the bin. Right guys, I'll stop waffling and eat my tea. Right, okay guys, so I've got the transceiver radio, and we're just gonna show you how to. Hope you can see me. I'm having to use my torch. How we use the ham radio over the repeater network. Like I say, the closest one to me here really is the Llandudno ones. There's two there. So basically I'm just going to key up and try and get into one of the repeaters. What should happen, not all repeaters have them, but what should happen is the repeater will respond back to me by using Morse code. It's what you call its ident, or its identity, and it'll tell you its identity in Morse code. So it'll be well, it'll start with LL for Llandudno. Both of them start with LL, and then it'll have a number. So let's just see if we can get into it. 2 Whiskey 0 Foxtrot Romeo Whiskey, 2 Whiskey 0 Foxtrot Romeo Whiskey, just checking access to the repeater. So that's it. The repeater's responded, which basically tells me that it's in range. I've not asked for that was just a bit of interference. I've not asked for anybody to respond back to me. Just all it is just checking access. The 2120, the radio saying the numbers is, I've got repeaters pre-programmed into this radio, so all it's saying is that in bank 21 or bank 20, and then it's got on the LED screen what the repeater is. So I've just put Llandudno. I'm not going to tell you too much about the UV5R. I can do another video on that if you wish. So let's try the next one. That was two. That was if I just have a look in here, I'll tell you exactly.
4, 5, 3, 6, 1, 2.
Right, so that was, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but in the radio I have the top line, the top bank, if you like, it tells me the frequency, and the bottom line tells me what the actual repeater's called. Now, if you look in the corner on this corner here, it'll say 21. So both banks are on number 21. So the top bank is telling me it's on 70 centimeters because it's 400 and odd megahertz that's running on. That's 70 centimeters, and the bottom one is actually telling me where the repeater is. So let's try the 2 meter repeater. I'm not sure if the 2 meter one in Llandudno has got an ident. We're getting some interference, so we'll just try it. 2 Whiskey Zero, Foxtrot Romeo Whiskey, 2 Whiskey Zero, Foxtrot Romeo Whiskey, just checking for repeater access. Now that's not got any ident, it might be even be turned off, that one, I'm not sure. Let's try another one. Let's try Denby. That's a 2 meter repeater, it's on 145.750 megahertz. 2 Whiskey Zero, Foxtrot Romeo Whiskey, 2 Whiskey Zero, Foxtrot Romeo Whiskey, just checking access to the repeater. And Denby's not responding. So Denby might even be out of range at this location. I do know that Denby repeater does have something called a network on there every morning, 365 days a year. A great guy called Bill runs that, and you get people from all over. I think it runs from 10 o'clock till 11 o'clock, but don't quote me. It's called Sausage and Scouse. If you want to look at it on Google, just type in Sausage and Scouse Denby repeater. I'm sure it'll bring up something. The other one we was going to look at, excuse me, is LI, which is Liverpool. Now I can get that from Prestatyn town if I'm pretty near the beach. I can get it. Not sure if I'm going to be able to get it from up here. So what number are we on? 20. What's that say? 20, 23. Yeah, 23. So
2, 3.
So that's 4 meter on 4 meter band, 433.250 megahertz. Let's just test that one. 2 Whiskey Zero, Foxtrot Romeo Whiskey, 2 Whiskey Zero, Foxtrot Romeo Whiskey, checking for access to the repeater. And that one, no, is a no. I don't think that one has an ident on it, Morse code ident. So if we want to look for someone to call, put a call out, should I say?
2.
Or we could try mould. 2 Whiskey Zero, Foxtrot Romeo Whiskey, 2 Whiskey Zero, Foxtrot Romeo Whiskey, listening through. No, mould's out of range. Thought it might be.
2, 1, 2, 0.
So let's
2,
go to the
1.
repeater in Llandudno and let's see if we can make a contact. It is, what time is it now? It's 6:45. Usually in the daytime it's pretty busy. Not so many people use the repeaters at night, but we'll give it a go. 2 Whiskey Zero, Foxtrot Romeo Whiskey, 2 Whiskey Zero, Foxtrot Romeo Whiskey, listening through. Any contacts, listening through. So hopefully if there's anybody listening, they'll key up and give us a call back. So usually I try a couple of times. One thing to remember with repeaters, when you're using repeaters, is they're there for everybody to use. So you must leave, when you're talking to someone over a repeater, you must leave gaps so that any side contacts can come in. Anybody waiting on the side for a contact can key up and come in as well. Basically don't hog the repeater all to yourself. The other reason why you should do that is sometimes repeaters overheat when they're being used constantly. So if you just leave a little space, key off and leave a little space, it helps the repeater work more efficiently, because if it gets too hot, the repeater will have to shut down and restart itself. And sometimes this repeater in particular is prone to that, but it's an old repeater, it's not maintained very well, I don't think. So 2 Whiskey Zero Foxtrot Romeo Whiskey, 2 Whiskey Zero Foxtrot Romeo Whiskey, listening through for any contacts, listening through. Just leave it a minute or so, even a few seconds helps. 2 Whiskey Zero Foxtrot Romeo Whiskey, 2 Whiskey Zero Foxtrot Romeo Whiskey, listening through. So there's no one about on that repeater, it appears. Sometimes people just sit there and listen out for contacts. I could put a call out on simplex, which means radio to radio. We have a certain channel for that, a certain frequency on this band. On all bands is what's called a call-in frequency. So you just tune into that. So on simplex, if it's radio to radio, anybody in the area that's tuned into that listening, that call-in frequency, then they usually respond. But I'll leave it for now. I'll try a bit later on. What I will do is set the radio to scan.
Scanning begin.
What that'll do is now scan all the frequencies that are in the radio. It'll scan all the frequencies that I've programmed into the radio. A lot of them I won't get from here. Shrewsbury, Driffield in Yorkshire, Derby, Stockport. I'm not going to get all them from, I won't get any of them basically from this location where I am. They're basically programmed in so that when I'm travelling about, I mean when I go back home to New Mills in Derbyshire, I can get into Stockport repeater from where I go in that area. So that's why it's programmed into there. Sometimes with work I travel quite a lot. Last year I travelled quite a lot with work, so the reason for all the other ones in there. Most of the repeaters I've got programmed into this are by geological location, close to, starting the closest to my home and then working further and further and further out. So quite a lot of them are in this area. I've even got the ISS calling frequency program into this. I've got all the PMR frequencies as well, so even if there's anybody using walkie-talkies, I can still get into a walkie-talkie using this. What was that? Oh, that's ISS1. I'll probably interference. Yeah, so PMR frequencies are the ones up to 8 channels. I think it is on PMR. They're your basic walkie-talkies. You can pick up baby monitors and all sorts of things with these radios. That's happened in the past when I've been cycling home. I've for some reason picked up a baby monitor. Yeah, SU22 if anybody's interested. SU22 is the calling frequency for I think it's 2 meters. Could be 70 centimeters, I'm not sure. Because I don't use all what I've programmed in all the time, you do forget things, but a quick Google search will usually help you out, or looking through your manuals and what have you. So yeah, we'll just leave it scanning there for a bit. Okay guys, PMR 6, just been scanning there. PMR 6, there was someone knocking around on there. It does sound like one of the camps down there. Sounds like one of the camps along the coast are using PMR radio as their radios for commercial use. I think I've picked this one up before. Yeah, so I'm not really going to talk to them, but I can tell you what channel.
2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 9, 8, 7, 6.
Yeah, so the PMR frequency is 446.06875, which is a PMR frequency. It shouldn't really, I mean, there's no law to stop them doing it, but they shouldn't really be using PMR frequencies for commercial reasons. PMR stands for Public Mobile Radio, and there's 8 channels, so if they're using one for business, then that's a channel that the public can't really use. They might be squelched up to each other, the radios that they use, that's another terminology, so it blocks out any kind of anybody else talking. But yeah, it's a bit naughty, that, really. I'm pretty sure it's one of the camps along the coast. Like I say, I've heard them before talking on there. Not tonight, not today. I mean, I've heard them in the past talking. So that's pretty much all the scanning's picked up so far. I'll carry on scanning and see if anything else shows up.
That's why I just double checked.
Right, guys, I've just remembered something about the radio. What I've actually had it in is channel mode, which means that it's scanning the banks that I've pre-programmed in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the radio to frequency mode.
Frequency mode.
And then if you can see at the top there, I don't know if it's going to pick it up very well, but at the top there it says 164. That's 2 meter band, and the bottom one is saying 459, which is 70 centimeters band. Now, just next to the 1 on the 164, you should be able to see like a little arrow, and that allows me to scan the whole of that frequency. And if I move the arrow down to the bottom line, that allows me to scan the whole of that frequency. So we'll scan the whole of the 2 meter band. It's going to start at 164. It starts before then, but it will, once it's got to the end of the frequency, it will revert back to the beginning of the frequency range. So if you, for example, if you think of 0 being this end and 165 being that end, when it gets 165, it will automatically turn back round to 0 and scan the frequencies again. So let's do that. I'll do that on both bands and see if we can pick anything up.
Scanning begin.
But it is very quiet tonight, it seems like, on the airwaves. So now you can see it rapidly scanning through all the frequencies. So it's 165, decimal 6, decimal 7, decimal 8, decimal 9, and then it 166, decimal 1, decimal 2. So it's scanning the whole of the band. You'll get channels like that which are called Birdie Channels, and there can be quite a few of them within the frequency range. Now, what a Birdie Channel is a Birdie Channel is basically interference that's within the radio off the shelf. All radios have it. All radios have, all transceivers has what's known as Birdie Channels, and it's just the interference that's created within the circuitry of the radio. Now, some interference can be caused by plasma screens or electrical things, electrical products. Fridges even can cause interference. It's just one of them things, you have to live with it. Usually it sorts itself out, like that then. It's making a noise. And then if you leave it for a few seconds, it should carry on. If not, you just press scan and it continues scanning. But I found on 2 meter there's more there is more interference for some reason on the 2 metre band. It seems to be quite a lot of it tonight. So I'll keep scanning, folks, and bring you back if I find anything. Well guys, the thermometer's saying it's about 3 degrees. So pretty cold. Yeah, that's just a little thermometer I've got on my rucksack. A little carabiner. So that's the vestibule part of the tent. I've got my cooker down there, my boots, plenty of mud on them now, my big rucksack. And I think the inflatable mat's going down. I thought I had a problem with it last time I had it out, but I'll pump it up in a bit and see if that helps. Don't really want to be pumping up through the night, so it looks like that one might be for the bin, folks. Right guys, the time now is 5 to 11. It's been very quiet on the old radio frequencies tonight. I heard a little bit of a contact come through. It was on a PMR frequency. I think they said Lancashire they was broadcasting from. I tried to respond, but no good. So yeah, it's I think I'm going to be in for a rough night because this mat is going down. It's got a puncture somewhere, so that's a job for the bath tomorrow. I've had to pump it up twice now, and it's going down now. Even as I'm laying on it, I can feel it going down. So might be quite a cold night, quite a hard night on the floor. But hey ho, I wasn't to know it had a puncture. So I'll try and find that in the bath tomorrow. So I'm just going to have a fag and listen to a bit of Radio 4. I think there's a book on or something at the moment. Yeah, so and then I'm still awake at 12 o'clock. It'll be the World Service. So yeah, I quite like Radio 4. So it's my chosen kind of radio station. It's one that I like to listen to. Very informative and boring to some people, I know, but I like it. It's informative. You learn a lot from it. Right, so I should say good night for now, and I shall see you all in the morning. There's nothing else to record tonight. We've done most of the work about the radio and what have you, so I hope you enjoyed that. And yeah, I'll see you in the morning. Well, good morning guys. The night wasn't too bad, wasn't too cold. I did sleep in my clothes, and as I suspected, I have got a puncture in this in the roll mat, so I'll do a separate video on how I'm going to check and repair the puncture, if it's repairable. I'll do that on another video. I'd just like to say thank you to everybody for subscribing, my old subscribers, and also I've gained a couple of new subscribers I think, so thanks very much for your support. It's much appreciated guys. And like I say, the next few videos are going to be, the next few episodes, I'm going to do separate episodes on the SAS survival guide, and doing some techniques out of that. So that's enough said from me for this morning. I'm going to pack away now and get a move on and see how Max is doing with his lampshade. I might have to repair that as well today. So I'll see you all again on the next video, folks. Thanks for watching.